There we go. This new camera is so strange. I lift my head and it moves. It's got like a built-in AI with the tilt pan zoom, TPZ, I think it's called. And it's just weird because like the 4K gives you a little bit of a fisheye look, so that like getting closer and further away means something different than it used to. I can also do these weird things. I can like zoom in. It's too close. Back up. Come on, you can do it. There we go. But, you know, also every time I do this, it like resets itself. So I may have to turn off the gesture stuff. But hello and welcome. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. So yeah, we didn't get a video out today. And so I have decided, Sun is working on a video as we speak. I have decided to stream for a little bit, and I don't have a lot of time. It's 5:35 Eastern Standard Time. The reset is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have finished all of the quests and stuff on my main account, but I am here on the Noob vs. Pro account, and I still have some dailies and a lot of advanced. So I got to do all of these in a relatively short amount of time. So I will be talking. I will say hello. Hello to Jacob B. Hello to Vincent. Hello to Burso. Sun is not here currently. Sun is not here. He'll be here. He's working on a video. I was going to give him the day off today and do my video, edit my video. I was going to say I was going to give him the day off. He earned the day off, right? He won the day off. But it turned out that we had something else to do. So, but yeah, so okay. So let's take a look here. We've got resilient. Let's get the easy ones out of the way. Got to do some resilient stuff. We do have some legendary materials. We don't have any perception materials, so we're going to want to do some of these. I don't think I need to use charms on this at the moment. I don't think that's high priority, so I'm going to hold on to my charms. There we go. We got our epics. Let's hope we got something good. Attack percent in the resilience set with no crit rate. I'm going to be holding on to most of these because I can always do a gear cleanse later. And resilience is one of those sets where I just keep almost everything early on, and I still have room in my vault or in my artifact storage. Okay. So that knocks the quest down. This is one of those things where it's whenever you get close to the reset, you start getting worried, especially if you haven't done stuff like faction keys, right? Like the faction wars keys, those take the longest time. The silver keys in Doom Tower, those take a long time. So normally you're like, oh, you've got 85 minutes left, 83 minutes left. That's not too bad. But the fact of the matter is it's not great, especially like, okay, let's look at the tag arena. I still have 5 battles here to do in tag arena. Hopefully those will go relatively quickly. But let's just see. Let's maybe get the dailies out of the way. Do I have space? I don't have space. So let's go. That's 6 of these. I have all these food champions I haven't really been putting time into. Yeah, we'll stick with the, I don't know if I'm going to get 3 levels out of this though. Is that enough? Is that enough to have enough spots? Yeah, I got 10 spots. Now I'll get the little. So I got a new camera. I've got new earbuds. They keep messing me up. They're not working right in OBS. I'm trying to make everything work. It's like, whew. It's tricky. I am tech savvy. It's not that. That's not the issue. Like I can figure it out. I'm not worried about that. I just haven't had the time to really dig into it. And because it's my new stuff, I want to use it. You know what I mean? I'm excited to use it. So I'm just trying to brute force it as we go. Somebody said something about a banner that could go on my, I think Crashdown said something about my a banner that could go on my, Oh, this, yeah, could go here. That'd be very nice. And in fact, I do need the boost in accuracy if I'm going to keep her as my clan boss damage dealer. Let's hope we roll into speed here. Flat defense is really not. There we go. At least one speed. Take it up another notch. One more. Yeah, look at that. How good is that? So we're actually going to get 6 more speed out of her. We get all that extra accuracy. And that's the number we need, actually, to get over 225. But since we have the silver, I'm going to... should I hold that for CVC? I'll hold that for CVC. I'll hold that for CVC. But let's go ahead and equip this. And yeah, we'll pull that off. Little micro improvements. That's what you need. Just incremental, tiny improvements. That accuracy is going to mean we land more debuffs. And that revenge means 5% of the time we're going to counterattack, which maybe, you know, when I'm going to get hit roughly 25 times. So that should mean at least one counterattack. At least one, if not 2. 2 additional counterattacks. No, that's not nothing. It's small, but it's not nothing. All right, let's claim all these. Let's claim that. I don't even care about the energy right now. I'm just making sure. Fight and tag team arena. Team from a single affinity. That shouldn't be a problem. Let's do it on this one here. We will... Are we close to anybody with an affinity? Sort of. We'll do this. There we go. That's ugly, but whatever. All right. Let's see how chat is doing. Bill is here. Hello. Pavel. Welcome. Thank you. A lot of people are probably surprised. What are you doing streaming right now? I didn't have a video today. It's a Saturday, and we need a video out. I need content out there. I felt bad because I wanted to put content out today. I thought I was going to, and then it just didn't work out. So I don't have a lot like today. I don't have a lot to go over, but we're just going to race the server reset. Make sure that we get all our advanced quests done for the day. As per usual, on my phone, I have my main account, and that's looking good. That's all done. I'm trying to do this spider tournament, going after the free champion, the free Torment, on my main account. Not going after it on my noob versus pro account, unfortunately. Actually, I'm going to do that. Let's. This is not my solo video today. That would be great. I didn't even think of that. Dark. That'd be great, man. Man, yeah, I can put out a video on my own. Sure, I'll totally edit it. It's called a live stream. No, that's not. I was going to do that today, and then I was going to do something else today, and then I didn't get either one done today. So the video, my edited video. Whoa, look at this. I can't even keep these in. I like these, by the way, but I'm still getting used to them. And you can adjust these little things. I might have to adjust them. I'm not sure they're the right size for my ears, for my ear holes. So my edited video should be coming out in the next, say, 3 days. I have an idea for it. I've got a setup for it. I've already started working on the thumbnail. It just really depends on when we can get to it, because we have our stream tomorrow. We have our normal live stream on Sundays, our noob versus pro. So we're going to do that. So probably not going to record, or I can't record it and edit it in the same day. That's not going to happen. So if I record it tomorrow night, maybe, but I have some family stuff, so we'll see. So probably it'll be recorded on Monday. Now remember, we need a video out on Monday. So I got to do 2 videos, because this is going to take me a lot of extra time. And then it depends when Son wants his day off. Does he want Monday off? Does he want Tuesday off? Does he want to wait until the weekend? Because if he'd rather have like a Saturday off, then it might get held for a little bit. So, yeah, so that's this, the story of my video. Thank you on the new cam. Yeah. This was great. I got my first check from Google AdSense just like a week or a week and a half before. I guess it was, yeah, about a week and a half before Black Friday. And I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about what I was going to do with the money. I just put it in a business account. I was like, I'm going to set it aside because I have to like worry about taxes and stuff and all that. I'm just going to set it aside for right now. I still have my normal job, my income. We had the holidays, you know, that was all busy. So I was just like, I wasn't thinking about the money at all. And then Cyber Monday rolled around and everybody left. You know, we hosted for the holidays for Thanksgiving. So everybody left. And like an hour before midnight, I was like, oh, it's Cyber Monday. I need some stuff. I was trying to get a monitor. I've talked about that before on stream. I need a third monitor. So I was looking for that, but I couldn't find one that I liked. And I didn't want to like, my desk is particular. Like it's a crazy setup here. So I need something that's really going to fit my space. And then I would need like an armature for it. And I didn't have the time, but I also knew I wanted a new camera. And so I found a deal on a decent, it's called OBS bot, I think, or maybe OBSBot, OBSBOT. And it's this little like robotic camera. The picture's decent. It's 4K. Although it doesn't, you know, I don't stream in 4K. I think I stream in 1080p. So you probably aren't getting a 4K image, but you can see the quality difference, right? And it like tracks a little bit better and it does all sorts of different things. Like the autofocus is crisper. It also tracks my movements. Like if I move over here, it should track. Let's see if it does. It's supposed to. There we go. Move over here. There we go. I'll move back here. Yeah, so it'll move me around. Kind of cool. The real issue wasn't the tracking. The real issue was the 4K. I wanted a better camera. My camera is about 3 years old. It's not bad. It's a Logitech like 920 or whatever it is. So if you're trying to get into streaming or, you know, content creation, it's enough. It's enough to get started. And eventually I'm going to want to get more than what I've got. Even this won't be enough, but what I'm hoping for is to use this as part of sort of a suite of cameras eventually, that I'm going to have like 4 or 5 different cameras, you know, some that I can use to get away from my desk and potentially like head out into the world and create content. And then also I want to do hopefully at some point, do a podcast. And so I need multiple angles from the podcast. So this might be one of the cameras that I use on the podcast. I have a cousin that I grew up with that we're fairly close, and he is a media guy. He actually runs a little media company where like he does setups for like venues. He does online setups for places that want to broadcast, you know, musical shows and plays and interview setups and whatever. And so he was kind of helping me out with this. And he's like, you know, you can get some of these cheap things and they work really well because the software is really good. You can find a lot of software tweaks and like third-party apps and stuff. And so until you're ready to step up to like the $1,500 cameras or the $5,000 cameras, you know, you can just step up to like a $200 camera and do really well. So that's what I did. Am I on a skateboard though? Not yet. What programs am I using? So I'm using OBS. That's where I record and broadcast to you. And it's the OBS Studio. It's not like, or not the, I'm sorry. It's the main OBS. There's a Streamlabs OBS. It's not that one. Can I claim the purchases for taxes? I can. So these are things I can deduct. You still have to spend the money. I think one of the things about, you know, business expenditures that sometimes people who may not have had a business of their own before, like, may confuse, is that it doesn't save you money on your purchase. Like it doesn't boost your income. What it does is it lowers your tax liability. So let's say, I don't know, let's say you made $50,000 a year and you're in a certain tax bracket, but in order to make that $50,000 a year, you spent $10,000 on expenses. That just knocks you down to a $40,000 tax bracket. But remember, you still spent that $10,000. So getting knocked down to a lower tax bracket or lowering your tax liability, even within the bracket that you're in, might save you a few $100s, but spending $10,000 to save $1,000 doesn't make sense, right? So you really need to get value out of what you buy. So my hope is that this camera will allow me to not only make sure that like my video quality is up to snuff, but that it might allow me to do a couple of different things that I haven't been able to do before. And like I said, in the future, use it potentially as like a podcast camera, which I could not use my old camera for. So that's really the thing. I want to start podcasting probably in the first quarter of 2024. So by March, I'd like to start a podcast. We'll see. We'll see if I get there. Life is busy. And you guys are distracting me. Crypt keys in Faction Wars. Oh, Sylvan Watchers is good for me. I'm in good shape with Sylvan Watchers. Let me see. This is the guy I actually want to run here. Let's see what happens. I didn't even build him or whatever. I'm just throwing him in. Jan Eric Fogli? Hello, finally figured out how to join chat. Well, welcome. Oh, by the way, don't forget to smash that like button. Yeah, I always forget to do that. I don't ask for that enough. But yeah, moving on up. Dave Strode says, hey, Colred, you may or may not remember my takeover several weeks ago. You rebuilt my Arbiter for Arena. I was stuck in Silver 4. I just wanted to say thanks to you. Yesterday, I reached Gold 5. I guess that rebuild on the Arbiter worked. I do remember you, Dave. I do remember you. I don't remember all of the details of the takeover, but I do remember your name, and I do remember rebuilding the Arbiter. So I'm super happy that you got to Gold 5. That is one of my favorite things. You've made my day. I'm absolutely thrilled. Yeah, I love it when that happens, right? Because, you know, part of this stuff and part of doing takeovers is learning about how to do takeovers. And I have things that I've seen on my accounts that I know work for me. But when you get on somebody else's account and you start working with their account, their accounts are different than any account I've run. They've made different choices. They have different setups. They have different priorities. And I'm never 100% sure if what I'm doing for that account is going to be the healthiest thing for that account. It's my best guess. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not worried in that sense. You know, I just don't want to fail the people whose accounts I take over. I don't, you know, not only for the health of my YouTube channel, but because that's literally what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to coach people. So when I get the stories where they're like, hey, you did this for me and it really worked out, that makes my day. So thank you for sharing. All right. So this one didn't go too well. So we're gonna ratchet that back a little bit. I mean, we're doing well in stage 9. That shouldn't be a problem. And this will give me a little bit of experience here on Ornn. I also have Pan, who I could throw in at level 29, but oh, I forgot I have 2 Wyronins. I got 2 of them. I forgot about that. Yeah, she's so mediocre. She's so mediocre. It's weird. I'm going to show you this champion, guys. I don't know if you've looked at Wyronin. She is like the best worst champion. I mean, she's a good bad champion is what she is. It's weird. I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So I just want you to look at the kit for a second. The stats. Stats are solid. They're fine. Decent HP, pretty good defense, decent speed, all good for a support. Not bad on stats. Okay. Not phenomenal. Not bad. All right. Aura, speed and faction crypts by 20%. That's solid for faction crypts. A1 has a decreased attack on a single hit, right? Single target. It goes up to 60% decrease attack. That's a decent, not great A1, but decent A1. A2 fills a turn meter of all allies by 15%, places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Looks great. That's fine. I like turn meter fills. I like the increased speed. This is on a 4-turn cooldown when booked. Haikatun has this exact skill on a 3-turn cooldown, and you get her for free at 30 days. Apothecary is a rare who has this exact skill on a 3-turn cooldown, and he's a rare and easy to book. So despite the fact that this looks good on paper, it's bad in terms of the overall power distribution of champions in the game. It's not a good version of this skill. It's good to have this skill, but come on, like really? Just if this were on a 3-turn cooldown, my opinion of this champion would be so much better. All right, now let's look at her revive, right? She's a reviver, great for faction crypts. So again, aura for faction crypts, A1's good against bosses, speed boost, all that stuff is good, and revive. 4 things you want for faction crypts. Revives 1 dead ally with 50% HP and 30% turn meter, and places a 15% continuous heal buff on that ally for 2 turns. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. All right. Let's go down here and look at Tree Shield Knot. Now, granted, he's a void rare, but he revives 2 random allies with 25% HP and 25% turn meter on a 5-turn cooldown. So she has 1 fewer turns to wait, but she only revives 1 random ally. This also places a shield buff on all revived allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of their max HP. This is close to as powerful as Wyronen's, and again, he's a rare, easier to build. So it's like she has this crazy good kit. It's a really nice kit. It's a really nice Faction Wars kit. I mean, you don't use this anywhere else. You don't really need revivers in a lot of other places outside of Faction Wars. You can use them in spot places. I'm not saying you can't. Mostly in arena. Like that's where you use a lot of revivers. She's not an arena champion. This is not bad. This is all right. Okay. Good. Decent stats. But in comparison, she's just not. It's weird. She's like simultaneously a very good champion and totally underpowered. So I don't know how to feel about her. It's like I said, she's one of the best bad champions in the game, or she's one of the worst good champions in the game. It's one or the other. I don't know what it is, but it's one or the other. Lumac, yeah, an extra stream. That's right. Demugglify me. Says, I had a choice between Wyronen and Kellen for my 5th Sylvan Watcher. I went with Kellen. He hits so weakly, I barely got past the Cythalia healing wave. Yeah, one of the things about Wyronen, which I will say is a positive, and this can be true in any faction, in any crypt, depending on your roster. Some champions bring a good kit that just makes your overall faction crypts better without actually them doing the work. Do you know? Let me explain. That wasn't very clear. Wyronen won't clear the waves. She won't stop the bosses. Right? She's not a cleanser. But she brings a revive, which you need, and everything is moderately useful. So she makes the team around her better. She's not fantastic, but she makes the team around her better. Now, when you talk about, like a Kellen, you can talk about Kellen. Kellen might be the better champion 1-to-1, but he's not going to elevate the team in terms of Wyronen. Yeah, so her chances for synergy, the synergistic benefit of adding to her team, her to a faction crypt team is higher. There are other champions like this. There's one in the Lizardman faction who came out not that long ago, Delaja. Delaja is incredibly powerful in the faction crypt team because she has this thing where she counterattacks anytime any Lizardman is attacked. So she will always counterattack in faction crypts. She just counterattacks. And so you can use her with all sorts of weird builds. You could put her in a stun set. She'll counterattack with the stun sets. You can put her in a poison set. She'll get more damage out there. You could, put her in if you wanted to, you could put her in like a curse set, get more attacks out there. Lifesteal, she regenerates health. I'm using this gesture too much. Sorry. But you notice how smooth that was better motion capture than my previous camera. But yeah, Delaja is really, really good with that. And she makes the team better when you put her on there. Now, she's not a phenomenal champion. She's decent. I think she's a little bit better than Wyronin. But, again, one of those champions that just makes your Faction Crypts team better. So this is what it always comes down to. It's my 2 Wyronins against like 3 of them. And they just keep reviving each other. Or, this third guy. And it's like, they just slowly work through. It's not fast. This is why I need to get like Ornn in here and built up, because he will be tanky enough that he won't die. And so he'll just be another source of damage out there. And I mean, poisons are great, It's like in Faction Crypts, poisons are great. Who cares if it's on a wave? Like, you just need to survive. All right, we're down to an hour. We have an hour left. I forgot about my bot. Sun set us up with a night bot. If you are enjoying the stream, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Please do, if you haven't subscribed to the channel. I've got my first collaboration coming out. It should be out, hopefully, tomorrow. We'll see. We shot the collab today. I was nervous. I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous. I think I did well. It's a little bit weird, when you're collaborating with somebody. I expected this. This is not a condition of the person who I collaborated with. When you collaborate with somebody on their channel, they're kind of in control. So you have to allow for their methods that are different than your own. When I create videos, I practice. I don't necessarily script. I outline my videos, and you guys have watched my videos. You know how like sort of detailed they can be. It's very thorough, so I do research, and then I outline, and then I practice a few times. I don't do the whole video, but I'll often do the beginning of the video 10 times. I'll do certain pieces of the video 2 or 3 times. If I don't like it, I'll back up and try again. You can't do any of that when you're working with somebody else. So it had to be sort of a one-shot deal. And it went okay. But, sometimes I stumble over my words. My brain moves very quickly and my tongue isn't as fast, and I'll be and that just happens to me. And you get that, verbal vomit kind of situation that happened like 2 or 3 times. But what am I going to do about it? It's on somebody else's channel. So he didn't, he's a one-shot king. He just does it in one take. So I'm unfortunately not as experienced or as practiced as my collaborator is. But he was very gracious, and I enjoyed working with him. It was really cool. And then he came on my channel and we did another video. And also, I'm not practiced at that. I'm not practiced at interacting with somebody in a way that fits my format and my viewership, who isn't Sun, right? Like my editor, he knows me. We've known each other for a really long time. So he knows me personally. And he also is part of the team here. He is a key part of the team. He is the whole team. He and I are the whole team. So, so he knows exactly how I like to work and how to get the best out of, a situation. So that was an interesting learning experience. And I hope the end product is entertaining and interesting. And and we'll do more collabs in the future. It'd be fun. Demuggle5me says, I beat Lizardman with Delaja, Metal Shaper, Aox, Broadmaw, and Jareg. That's a heck of a cheap team. That's a really good free-to-play team. Good for you. Dave Strode says, the video you posted about raid changes, I can tell, was well put together and made lots of sense. You're talking about the changes we'd like to see, what we want from Plarium. I appreciate that. I actually worked on that for several days. Lou Mag says, I am just excited for the collab. It will get better each time. Yeah, I hope so. I don't think it was bad, but you know, one of the things that is tricky for me with YouTube, and this is just me personally, I'm not saying this about anybody else. I don't know. I'm assuming other people feel like me, but my creative background is primarily in writing. I'm a writer. I've always been a writer. I don't mean like professionally. I've done writing professionally, but not a lot of like I've been a copywriter and a writing coach and stuff like that. But I'm not like a published author. I don't mean that. But I studied writing, and I think of myself in my head as a writer. That's part of my identity. And the aspect of writing at which I am the best, like, I don't mean better than anybody else. I mean, the best of all of my qualities, all of my skill sets, the skill set that I think is the strongest when it comes to writing is editing. You know, I'm good at going over content and refining and improving. And it's translated to YouTube. I can look at the content and kind of, you know, think about what I want to do and then refine it and improve it. And then the interesting thing is that means there's actually 2 editing processes for any video that I do that is recorded. I do a personal edit as I record. And then Son does a video edit on that version. So usually I feel like we put together a relatively polished product. They're never perfect, but I don't need them to be. I'm like, my ego can take some imperfection. That's fine. I don't mind that. Sometimes I miss things. Sometimes I make mistakes. I'm not going to pull down a video because I said crit rate instead of crit damage. Like, I'm not going to do it, you know? But that process is very different than like leaving stuff permanently in the public view that is imperfect, that I could improve if I took another shot at it. That's emotionally kind of tricky for me. Like, you can go and watch my old stuff and see all my mistakes, and it's still out there. That's hard for me. You know, and wrapping my head around that and figuring out how that works. So when you do something new, like this collaboration, and I make some mistakes and I have little moments that are mildly embarrassing. I mean, mildly embarrassing. You know, tiny little things. Fumble your words or whatever. But then it's out there and I can't do the edit, right? I can't do the pre-edit. Son can't do the video edit. And it's not on my channel. I'm like, oh, scary territory. Scary territory. But, you know, got to shrug it off. Got to grow, got to learn, got to get better. And, you know, one of the things that I believe is you only get better by trying, right? If I were too scared to do it, then I would never get good at it. So you're going to get to see it in the next couple of days. I'm sure everybody will be very kind about it. Everybody always is. But yeah. Jacob B says, what's your philosophy for higher level wave clearing? Depends on where you are. So if you're talking about Doom Tower or faction crypts, because there are differences, or dungeons, there are differences. But let's just take Doom Tower. I've talked about this before. I'll probably do another video on this in the near future. There are 3 ways to approach wave contents. Three team building philosophies. Like your composition usually is built in one of 3 ways or a mix of these 3 ways. The first way is find a team that can nuke the enemy out before they even get to go. A lot of times that'll be like a seer reset team. You have to have god tier gear. You have to have the right champions, and you have to crush. You have to have the right speeds, all that stuff. That is by far the hardest way to approach high level wave content. Most people won't have the gear or they won't have the roster, at least for a while. And then eventually you will, and then you can transition to that. But early on, that's the hardest. The second way, and probably the easiest way, again, depending on your roster, is to tank it up. Go super tanky and whittle down the enemy over time. Excuse me. So you're going to bring healers. You're going to bring revivers. You're going to bring shielders and increased defense. You're going to bring an ally protector. You're going to bring whatever you can do to just keep your team alive. And it doesn't matter what the enemy does. You just grind them down. Doesn't matter how long it takes. You just grind them down. That tends to be the way that I lean. I lean in that direction. Mostly because I like tanky champions, but also because I find it's the easiest way to build. Like if you build a tanky champion for one fight, they will be good in every fight where tankiness works. Whereas if you build a composition to one-shot a wave, unless that composition works everywhere you want to clear waves, you need different tunes. You know, you might have to swap gear or make multiple copies of the same champion, or like you might have to speed tune 8 or 10 or 12 champions to take Seer everywhere. You know what I mean? Like if you have Kymar, you're still probably going to use Kymar everywhere, but in some places you won't be able to use the same support champions. Like in faction crypts, you can't use the same support champions. You might not, like the champions that you might use, say in dungeons, don't have the stat requirements that you need at the end of Doom Tower. So you might have a champion without the gear, and now you have to try a different champion, or you have to mix the gear up. You know, it just becomes complicated. So tankiness is not complicated. Now there are some places where tankiness doesn't work. And there are also some rosters where you don't have the tankiness required. So the third way to approach waves is crowd control. Freeze them, stun them, slow them, fear them, and turn meter decrease them. Those are the 5 ways. You can use provokes, you can use dazes, but those aren't as good. Those are the 5 ways you want. Freeze, stun, and my camera's freaking out because I'm doing this. Freezes and stuns. Slows are a must. You want AoE slows. You want turn meter fill on your team. You want turn meter decrease against the enemy if you can get it. So, you know, Deegan Armstrong is great. Allure, like we're fighting right now, is phenomenal. Vizix is great. And the nice thing about those 3 champions is they're relatively easy to obtain. Vizix is free for everybody. Allure is just a regular epic, and so is Deacon Armstrong. So hopefully at some point you'll pull them. But if you get, you know, champions like Lady Kimmy, or maybe you get a champion like Sylar. Sylar's good, right? She's got a 40% turn meter decrease. You can use Raz and Scarhide, although his cooldown is very long on his AoE turn meter reduction. You can also use single target turn meter reducers. You know, that's fine. It doesn't have to be an AoE. So turn meter control is really powerful. But again, stuns, freezes, slows. Fears are not bad. They're not enough on their own. You can mix in stun sets if you need more crowd control, and that can be really good. The nice thing about stun sets, especially if you have multiples, is that they don't require accuracy, which alleviates the statistical burden at the high end of Doom Tower. So it can be blocked, but it can't be it can't be resisted. It can be blocked, but not resisted. And it doesn't require any accuracy. So you don't need to worry about, you know, that extra stat there. Now, sometimes you're going to build a champion with accuracy anyway, even though they're in a stun set for other debuffs. But, you know, you can bring in a very simple champion like Soulbound Bowyer. And you're like, okay, I can put some accuracy on her for the turn meter decrease. She has that massive turn meter decrease on her A3, I think it is. But if you get up to the top of Doom Tower and you're like, okay, she just doesn't have enough accuracy, and I'm not going to put crazy god tier gear on a rare like that where I only use her in a spot cases, but I've got her in a stun set. So it's like, even as her usage diminishes because she doesn't have the accuracy, she's still valuable because of the stun set. So, you know, you can do that kind of stuff. Let me make sure I don't have to kill a boss, I don't think. All right, now I need Doom Tower. But I am shy on materials here, so let me just see what I can do here as well. Yeah, this is so slow. I still got 47 minutes. Let me see, did I get any new dwarves? I got a second rearguard sergeant. Let's just go. Okay. Tag says, looking forward to it. Thank you. McKiller says, it is normal to feel this way and to see your mistakes in the past. And the reason is that with time and practice, you get better. This is the right way. Keep it up. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement. I think, I've never been afraid of making mistakes. But making mistakes publicly is different than just making mistakes in your private life, right? And so even though I acknowledge rationally that I have to make mistakes, and in fact, that's the advice that you might give to a new content creator. You're like, you just have to get into it. You just have to do it. And people may not want to do it because they don't want to look silly. It's like you have to sort of accept the fact that sometimes you'll look silly. And your ego has to be strong enough to withstand that, but also healthy enough that you have humility about it. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just awesome and everything I do is great, because that's not true. It doesn't matter who you are, but you also have to say that, I can be imperfect and still be worthwhile. That's something I tell my students all the time. It's one of my favorite phrases. I don't know if I borrowed it from somebody or I made it up. I have no idea. But the way I typically phrase it, I think, is remember that you don't have to be perfect to be valuable. Simple enough. Perfection is not required. Doesn't mean you can't strive to be better. Doesn't mean you shouldn't improve. Doesn't mean even perfection can't be like a goal, like an aspirational thing. But you don't need to be perfect. OG Stamp says, hey, Colred, so the new camera works great. Your head isn't as shiny. Anyways, keep it up. Yeah, so that's actually more the light than the camera. I got a new light. I got a new key light, and it's a little bit softer. It's got a little bit more diffusion, but it's also not as bright, which actually is a downside. So I have to use, I wanted to replace an old light, and instead now I have to use them together, and the old light has been able to be reduced to the point where it's not quite as shiny. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Live and learn. Dave Strode says, poisoners help with waves also. Poisoners do best in tanky teams if you're talking about waves, right? Because poisoners don't kill waves fast. So if your team is too squishy, then poisoners do not help your wave clear. If the poisoner is tanky and the team is tanky, then the poisoners do great, because who cares how long it takes? And poisons are hard to avoid, I guess I would say. Like in a lot of cases, you're going to have the accuracy on your poisoner because you go up against bosses with your poisoners. And the bosses typically, not always, but most of the time, have higher resistance than the waves. So that means that the waves are going to get hit by the poisons as long as you've built your champion with enough accuracy for the boss. OG Stamp asks, I missed it. Who did you collab with? I'm not saying yet. It hasn't been released yet. But I did a collab with an established content creator. Really great guy. Had a lot of fun. Like I said, I was a little nervous, but we did a good job, and he was really gracious and patient, and so that video should drop tomorrow, hopefully. Alex says, I don't know, I'm pretty awesome. That's also okay. You get that's part of it. Thinking you're awesome is fine. Thinking you're perfect is not, right? Like nobody's perfect, and don't feel the pressure to be perfect. There's too much of that in the world. There's too much pressure to try to be perfect. We want our politicians to be perfect. We want our celebrities to be perfect. We want our athletes to be perfect. We want our parents to be perfect. We want our kids to be perfect. We want the teachers in school to be perfect. We want the police to be perfect. And, we want the military to be perfect. And we want, the doctors and nurses to be perfect. Nobody is. Not a single one of them. I want them to be excellent. I want them to be honest. And I want them to try, but I don't expect anybody to be perfect. Least of all, like my parents, least of all the people around me, least of all my wife, she's wonderful. She's the most wonderful person that I've ever met. And she's the most important person in my life. She's not perfect, and I'd rather spend an hour with her than an hour with anybody else that I've ever met. you know, so again, doesn't have to be perfect. Wentworth Tanner says, thanks for the mid-game transition video. Question, who should I build, Reliquary or Tree Shield? I don't know. I don't know. I get this question a lot, and I'm not criticizing you here, Wentworth. I don't want, I'm not like coming down on you. I don't want to say, when I say I don't know, the reason is I always try to have as much context as possible when I'm making a recommendation about champions. I can tell you who's good. Those champions are both good. I can tell you where they're good or why they're good, but I don't know what your roster looks like, and I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. So the good news is, in the long run, both of those champions are worthwhile. They'll do well for you in faction crypts, and then eventually you'll probably outgrow both. It's very rare that you would use a Tree Shield or a Reliquary Tender at end game or at late game for anything other than maybe secret rooms and faction crypts. So the question is, what do you need more? Which kit is more valuable for you? And that I can't answer. OG Stamp says, cool. Well, you're definitely growing. That's awesome. Yes. Thank you. Channel's growing. I'm growing. Building skill sets. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I do think when you're thinking about building rares, this is something I'll say, like as a free-to-play player, there are times when it's very valuable to build a rare into a 6-star champion. And in a lot of cases, as a free-to-play player, you are going to find that you have more opportunities to make 6-star champions than you have books for those champions. You're always going to be short on legendary tomes. For a long time, you're going to be short on epic tomes. And you may even run out of rare tomes from time to time. So what I try to do is when I'm on a newer account, you know, not a 2.5-year-old account, but let's say I'm in the first year and a half of an account. If I'm looking at a 6-star, I'm like, okay, I have the chickens to build a 6-star champion. So what 6-star do I want? I look at my tomes. I look at what I need. I look at the champions that are available. And every once in a while, just every once in a while, I pick a rare because they're cheap. I have rare tomes. I can get a lot of power out of them. And that allows me to save up epic tomes or legendary tomes for a better legendary or epic option in the future. So it's kind of a delaying tactic. It's like I have chickens so I can get some value now, but I don't want to overcommit my resources. And so as a result, somebody like Tree Shield Knot, somebody like Reliquary Tender might be a choice. Just not because those are the best champions on my roster, but because they give me the most flexibility in terms of getting some power now without overspending. Now, one other thing to consider is some of those champions can be run at 5 stars. You can also do that. You don't have to take everybody to 6 stars. Tree Shield Knot can be run at 5 stars for faction crypts and for secret rooms in Doom Tower. You can run him at 5 stars forever. Is he stronger at 6 stars? Yes. Will he be more survivable at 6 stars? Yes. He'll be faster. He'll debuff more. Yeah. But you can build a 5-star champion really tanky. And if you just need a tanky reviver at 5 stars for faction crypts, then that's a great option. And actually, it's a really cheap option, right? You still need to put the books in them. You're not saving books, probably. Sometimes you can even save books. But you save on, you don't have to create a 6-star. G Delicious asks, hey, Colbert, any update regarding December Fusion starting date? I haven't heard anything. I'm not in the content creator program. I have applied. I don't know if anybody else has gotten word about the start date. I would expect that the December start date will be late. Most years it starts late. So the 20th, maybe the 22nd, maybe the 23rd. It'll start a few days before Christmas. I'd be surprised if they moved it up a lot. They could. Remember, they've got the whole Tormund Titan event going on right now. So I don't know how long that's going on. Let me look on my phone. Let me see the timeline on that. So that's for 3 more weeks and a day. Now, last time they did a Titan event, I didn't think they would do a fusion during the Titan event, and then they did. So there's a chance that it'll be in the next 3 weeks and a day. But that would be done on what, December 23rd, I think, or 24th. It might be Christmas Eve, actually. So my guess would be the fusion will start before the Yuletide Titan event ends. I don't know how much in advance. We usually get at least 10 or 12 days in between a fusion ending and the next fusion starting. So our last fragment event ended, what, about 5 days ago, right? I forget. But anyway, so maybe 6 days ago. So I think we have, at minimum, we have a week left. I would guess, but I could be totally wrong. They could fire it off tomorrow. Who knows? They don't tell me anything. They don't tell anybody anything. They like to keep, they play close to the vest. You know, they keep their secrets. This person is from DK. Is that Denmark? I prefer not to have to worry about a fusion during Christmas with family, so it's an easy skip. That's how I kind of felt about the Thanksgiving one that we just had. I didn't want to do it on both accounts. I was just like, I'm not doing that. So yeah, I get you. Over the holidays, why bother? The very first fusion I ever did successfully was Tatura Rhymehide, who was the Christmas fusion in 2021, I think. And it was a relatively friendly fusion. I was surprised at how easy it was because I had attempted one before and failed. And that one felt really good. Now, last year's, I don't remember who it was last year, but I remember last year's being significantly harder than Tatura's, even though my account was a year older. I'm like, what is going on? That shouldn't be happening. So hopefully, you know, they can make it as hard or easy as they want. Hopefully they'll make it easy enough that people can take Christmas Day off. Maybe they'll give us more extra shards, or they'll just make the point thresholds a lot lower so you can like do a little bit on Christmas Eve and then not have to worry about it until the 26th. I don't know. But it's family time. The family, you know, family time is more important than the game. But if they make, you know, that's the frustrating thing. If they made a really good Christmas fusion, and then they made it really hard to get over Christmas break, you know, over the Christmas holiday, like, why? Why are you doing that? I hope they don't do that. Well, hello from the US. I was in Europe this summer. I didn't go to Denmark though. So yeah, you know, that thing that Americans do where it's like, hey, you're from Denmark. Do you know do you know Jan? Do you know this guy? I think he's from Denmark. I was like, no, he's not. He's from Poland. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the same place, right? It's like, that's very American. We don't know world geography. I know exactly where Denmark is. But, you know, my first instinct was like, oh, I was sort of near there. I was like 2 countries over. 3 countries over. I was in the Netherlands. Do you know the Netherlands? Are you familiar with that place? You're from Denmark, right? So you know people from the Netherlands? I was in Amsterdam. You're from Denmark? That's crazy. I was in Amsterdam this summer. It's like, I'm sorry for all of us. I apologize. Let's talk about is Venom Mage a good choice for Ultra Nightmare Demon Lord? Can be. If you build the team with a second poisoner, Venom Mage brings a poison sensitivity and a poison activation. And so absolutely Venom Mage can be your Ultra Nightmare clan boss damage dealer. Yes, but you'll probably need a second poisoner. So consider that. G Delicious says, this Torment Void Lego thing has me so confused to pull shards or hold as free to play. Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm on the fence. On my main account, which is this account, not this account, I'm sorry, this is the other account. So my main account, I'm going to be pulling. Because I think of it as a guaranteed legendary event, and I know which legendary it is. So I'm going to pull. But that's a 2.5-year-old account. I have tons of resources, and I get more resources every day. So I expect that I'm going to be able to complete that event relatively comfortably if I go all in, which I'm going to try to do, because I want Tormund. I do want Tormund. He'd be one of those champions that could actually add significant value to my roster. He would be 100% pure arena champion for me, which I don't have too many of. I have like 3 on my account. So getting the opportunity to just get a pure counter for like live arena, just like screw all those, go first, double turn meter increase. Like I'm dropping Tormund in and I'm dropping Lydia and deal with it. Like that would be very satisfying to me. So, yeah, how are we doing here? You got me talking again. I still need to get into Doom Tower. Let's do the glyphs first, just so I don't forget about them. And I think it was Stagnite needed some glyphs. Yeah, Stagnite needs some glyphs here. All right, this could be good. Let's do this. We'll get some extra speed. Let's try again, see if we can get a 2. Yay, we did. And then we'll get some accuracy. There we go. All right, let's go to Doom Tower. Oh, man, I haven't used my gold keys. Oh, man, I have to get through Bommel. I have my Burn Geary. I forgot to build him. I got so distracted over the last 3 days. I wanted to build him. He's working his way up. But all right, so now getting through her is problematic. What you gonna do? I got to use the keys up, and Griffin is a good boss to farm, so I'm happy with this. I'm just gonna do this for now. All right, let me get back to the chat. Dave Strode says, I have attempted and failed many fusions. Haha. I'm sorry to hear that, Dave. It's challenging, and it's gotten harder and harder. And I wish they would make it a little bit easier. Since I succeeded at my first one, I have almost always succeeded. I have failed, I think, 2 or 3 maybe out of the last, say, like 15 attempts. So, the failure rate might be 15% or 20% for me, something like that. And almost always it's for the same reason. Almost always it's because of like a real life thing gets in the way. It's not because I messed up in the game. It's because something happens. There's, 2 or 3 days of chaos in my life for a work thing or a family thing or a travel thing. And I can't get to the game. And I miss 5 fragments I expected to get, or I miss 1, rare champion I expected to get. And that kills it for me. One time it happened really early on. And it was like, it was like the 3rd day, and I missed like 2 things. Like the whole day got wasted, and I missed 2 events that were ending. And that was enough. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I just backed out. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's actually nice. I don't mind failing on day 3. I hate failing on day 15. I picked up 95 fragments and I missed my last 5. That's infuriating. So don't feel bad about failing on them. But maybe, one of the things you can try is attempting fewer and making sure that not only do you have the in-game resources, but that you have like the life resources, that you have the time and the energy to actually put into the game. Because it's painful to fail at fusions. I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah. I'm slightly transparent. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Tiny bit. You know what? I wonder how many people, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but of course you're obsessive about that stuff. So, I don't know. I don't know what it's from. I don't know what would cause that. I don't think, It could be my background removal software that's doing it. I don't know. But I honestly can't think of a single reason. Ow. I can't think of a single reason that would be true. I literally just bit my tongue while talking on stream. That was not fun. You know, I have this problem. I've got teeth in my mouth. So yeah, okay. There's nothing I can do about it right now, man. So we'll have to look. I'm not switching cameras because this is a nightmare to switch cameras. All right, see you, son. So let's see. Wentworth Tanner says, "Thank you. I understand. Even without a definitive answer, you've helped me to decide. I'm glad I helped." Mugglefy Me says, "The last fusions are Ugir, Timit, Bamboos, Strategos. I think maybe the next fusion will be really good like Nishak last Christmas." Was he the last Christmas one? I love Nishak. And man, when I got him, I was stoked. Marco says, "I am from the Netherlands." Really? Do you know anybody from Denmark? Because I didn't go to Denmark, but we were just talking about it. And so maybe you know somebody from there. Because you guys are, you know, there are only a few borders in between you. OG Stamp says, "Not sure about the Torment thing. They act like it's free, but then put a bunch of points on pulling shards is really free." Yeah, and you know, one of the issues with something like this is we don't get to see the whole schedule of events and all of the points ahead of time. So we can't plan. You just have to assume based on past events, and they keep raising the point totals or changing the point totals. So you don't know if you have enough resources. You don't know if it's worth it going in. Like they're doing a summon rush or whatever it is, champion chase early to try to get the shards out of you. And then you don't know what's coming down the road. So I just wish they would be more transparent and they would give us more warnings so that we could plan better. You know, but they don't like us planning because they don't want us saving for these things. They want us spending for these things. And that just doesn't feel good. Delicious says, "They are due an epic fusion. Anyways, I hope they do that this December as already Tormund thing is running and a banger January year starting fusion." So like a fusion for an epic champion would be cool. They haven't done that in a really long time. Venomage doesn't have poison sensitivity. Heal reduction, right? Right. I'm sorry. The heal reduction. Yeah, my bad. She has activation and she has the damage mitigation from having the heal reduction up, right? 15% damage reduction, I think, from anybody under a poison. Yeah, my apologies. You're correct. I messed up there. You know what's happening is I've been using Dark Kale so much lately, and I built him specifically for a video that I don't think I even used. And then, you know, Venomage was like my primary poisoner before that, and Dark Kale has replaced Venomage everywhere. And Dark Kale does have a poison sensitivity and is an activator. So. Delicious says, "Void Legos are hard to come by as free to play." Yeah, I had one for the first 18 months of my account that wasn't a freebie like Arbiter. Like I pulled one from a shard in 18 months. And then since then, in the last year, I've pulled like 6. So sometimes it's just, you know, luck of the draw. 30 minutes to reset. We're now 23 minutes away from reset. I'm running 7 minutes behind chat. ASAP says, "To be honest, for accuracy," no, I'm sorry, that for accounts that are early to early mid game, that's really terrible timing because Tormund is not a bad champ. But if they go all out, what if the upcoming fusion is Newt 2.0? They really need to tell early. I would say if you're relatively early, Tormund's not for you. You have to have the resources to go after this guy. And that's not going to be super easy. Advanced is done. Daily is done. This has been done for days. They're still making me click the red dots, though. Come on, player aim. So we care about Arena, 3v3 Arena. Before the reset, if we can see that work, that'd be nice. All right. Yeah, so I think you're better off saving for the fusion than going for the Tormund. If you're sort of newer, you know, if you're like level 60, 65 and you're like, maybe I can stretch and go for one, I would probably save for the Fusion for a few reasons. One is I don't think Tormund's a good champion. But as an overall carry, I think he's just good. In Arena, as a counter, he's God tier. Right? But that need of having that Arena counter is an end game need. Prior to that, he's good, but not God tier. And there's a chance that the Fusion could be much more significant for your progress. And the chance of you missing on Tormund are high because we don't know what to expect. Whereas a Fusion is more predictable. It's not always predictable, but it's more predictable. So the extra predictability and the fact that Tormund isn't God tier everywhere for like an early or mid-game account, I would probably suggest holding out for the Fusion and seeing if the Christmas Fusion is good. Now, if you know, for instance, like that you have no chance of getting the Fusion, then you have no chance of getting Tormund. Because Tormund is basically a Fusion. He's a 3-week Fusion. And it's okay to just be in that space. There are all sorts of times where I just close my eyes and I'm like, this thing isn't happening in Raid. I'm just doing what I got to do, you know, and that's fine. So, you know. Lumax says, I got a second Newt. My first is built out, already booked as well. What should I do with him? Well, the first thing you should do is make him a faction guardian. And then you can consider whether or not you want to empower your first Newt or you want to build a second Newt. Having 2 Newts for certain fights would be insane, right? Like having back-to-back Newt attack, like A3s, just that could be so cool. But another 11, you know, legendary tomes for a secondary Newt might not be the most optimal way to build your roster. So it really depends on your resources. And if you think you might empower him, you don't have to do it immediately. You can always sit him in the faction guardians for a while and then think about it and then decide when you want to pull the trigger on empower. Once you empower him, you can't get the copy back. You know, you can't reverse that decision. So unless you're in a rush for some reason, I'll just sit him in faction guardians for a little bit, you know, and think about it. Think about what you want to do. Midi Uni says, hey, Colred, hey, good to see you, Midi. OG Stamp, go ahead and let me get the second one, Lumac. Oh, sorry. If we could trade champions, the gotcha mechanic would be broken. It would never work again, right? Like, and it would be cool to trade champions, but I don't think in a game like this, that's ever a reasonable thing that could happen unless there was some payment mechanic. Like, yeah, you can trade champions for $50, you know, or yeah, you can trade champions, but you have to sacrifice 3 champions to trade 1 champion or something like that. There would have to be some counterbalance. They couldn't just give you that because it would just be way too powerful for the players. It would ruin their economy. It also ruin the balance in the game to a certain extent. Maybe not. But it would ruin the mechanic by which they create balance, right? Like, the rarity of champions is part of how they balance. There's some kind of Spider-Man reference there I didn't understand. Mohammed Ikram, hello. Good to see you. Frozen Fire. Was that Easy Doom Tower? That was. Have a great night. Good night, Jacob. Wentworth Tanner says, I am currently running Kale, Seeker, Dracomorph, Bad L, and Deacon on my clan boss team. Would replacing any of them with Doom Priest help? If yes, who? All right, so there is something going on there that Doom Priest can help with. But my gut reaction is that you shouldn't do it. I'll explain what I mean. This is kind of a complicated question. Doom Priest can make you fully affinity friendly because she alone can cleanse the stun from the clan boss and she can cleanse the slow from Spirit Affinity. So it allows you to not have to worry about your stun target and it allows you to not have to worry about Spirit Affinity. That's extremely powerful. She brings very little else to the table. Right? She doesn't really help you in any other way. Like you can get her masteries all the way up, get her a War Master, she'll hit, and that's fine. She does have an increased attack if you don't have one on the team and you use attack-based champions, but you have a Seeker, so that you'd actually want to turn that skill off. You don't you don't want her using that. You'd rather have her throwing out extra attacks. But you have a bad L, and a bad L is a cleanser. So the bad L can handle one or the other of those two things. In fact, it may be possible. It's probably not possible. I don't think you can go fast enough. I think it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Might even be on a 4-turn cooldown. Let me go look at bad L. Yeah, it's on a 3-turn cooldown. So unless you're moving at a 3 to, you can't even do it. You'd have to be moving at a 3 to 1 to cleanse both. So what you can do here, obviously, he's going to give you more healing. He also does this passive. Allies inflict 20% more damage against targets under poison debuffs. That's incredibly powerful in clan boss. So he gives you poisons, he gives you a cleanse, he gives you heals, and he gives you a passive for damage. He even gives you this, ally crit rate in all battles by 25%. If you want, you could even use him as your lead. So you're not going to pull bad L. So the question is, do you just let Spirit Affinity be worse and then get a better result everywhere else? Or do you switch her out? Do you switch in Doom Priest for somebody else? And it's like, well, who else would you don't want to remove Draco, right? You can't remove Seeker or Deacon, probably. Those are your speed boosters. That's your drop defense, your increase attack, your turn meter fill, your leech. Like, there's too much there. So the only person you could remove is Kale. And then it's only valuable if you're speed tuned. Because if Doom Priest isn't going at the right moment to cleanse the stun and cleanse the slow, there's no point. So you would have to speed tune. If you're not doing that, you don't have to speed tune. You could just run it however you want. Just run it as fast as possible. Get as many poisons out there, as many hits as possible. So I love Doom Priest, and I think she's a great clan boss champion, but you have to have the team around her that has her make sense. Dave Strode says, I'm going for Torment over the Fusion. That's solid. You can do that. Absolutely. Stenbreck, good to see you. Marco, yeah, swap Kale for Doom Priest. That would be the one option. I'm not sure that would extend your damage any. I'm not sure that would increase your damage any. Because if you're not speed tuned and you're just going as fast as possible, Kale is going to get more poisons out there. He's going to get more procs out there. He's going to do more damage than you would get out of just like having that perfect, cleanse in place. Why didn't you advertise the live stream on Discord, mate? You know what? That's normally what Sun does, and he's editing a video. I forgot about that. Let me see if I can do that right now. I don't even know how to do that. I think maybe. Maybe just this. I don't know if that worked. All right. I kind of shared it and it kind of didn't work. I don't even know what to do about that. I don't know what to do. I've got 13 minutes left of my stream. Why are you bothering me? Why are you telling me to do things? No, thanks for the suggestion. I didn't realize we didn't link that. Let me do something here. Let me actually do some Arena 3 because I'm going to lose all these tokens. So I want to get those. And then I'll get back to chat. Frozen Fire says, go for Torment 100%. I tell my clan this. Pixneal and Tatura are previous Christmas fusions. Yeah. Pixneal was a bad fusion. Tatura was a good one. Not God tier, but a good one. Bill says, 2 newts are better than 1. 2 newts are better than a 1+ newt. Build them, you won't regret it. Makes literally every dungeon faster. That's my instinct. Like if I pulled him on my endgame account, that's probably what I would do. But depending on where you are, you may not have the resources to really make that work. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe even an unbooked newt is just so strong. Who cares? Because you might only need one shot. You don't need the cooldowns, whatever. Maybe just build him in good gear, get him his masteries, and who cares if he's booked or not? So you could definitely experiment with him. I would highly, I don't know, I would highly recommend not empowering him unless you were very sure that's the route you wanted to go. Right? Because like I said, you can't undo it. And you don't want to accidentally do it or like do it because you just think, whatever, I don't care. And then realize, oh my God, a second newt would be amazing. So like I said, you can wait on it. Yeah, LX. Bad L is such a good clan boss champion. Fantastic. Bill says, why even have Kale there and the team if Draco's already there? Makes no sense. I don't know that I agree with that, but if you're saying you've already got the damage covered, so just extend the life of the team, I could see that argument. I don't think it makes no sense to have another very good clan boss damage dealer on a team, you know, especially when you talk about like I don't know. I would say, you know, you need to speed tune Doom Priest. You have to. And it may, in fact, require that you slow the team down. Because if she's not speed tuned, she's not valuable. Having her in the middle of your turn order doesn't help your team at all. I would rather have a C tier damage dealer in there than an unspeed tuned Doom Priest. And so in order to tune her, you might have to slow down the rest of your team to a point where they're doing less damage just to bring her into tune. And so that's why I wouldn't necessarily just push the idea that it doesn't make sense to have this other team, right? Like a team that does damage and goes fast does a lot of damage. Even if they get stunned, even if they get slowed. Yeah, I mean, if you're filling up the debuff bar, then that's fair. Then if you're going so fast, you're filling up the debuff bar and you're always full and then you're not getting the value out of it, then you can remove one of the poisoners. Yeah, absolutely. Stenberg pulled his first mythical today. Congrats. Frolny from 2 primals. Very cool. Did check HH's video on him, but still don't know if I should build him as HP nuke or defensive based tank. Any suggestions? I wish I could. I don't have any of the mythics. I've never played with any of the mythics, and I don't know for sure. What I would say is, if it were me, if I pulled my first mythic and it was Frolny, I would probably go for a flex build, right? I wouldn't really optimize him. I wouldn't like worry about his masteries too much. I would mess around with him. I would get him into places and experiment with him in a kind of a flex build, somewhere in between. And I would see if based on a flex build that was 50-50, he did better in one area or the other. And then if he does better in one area than the other with a 50-50 build, you can start building him towards the stronger of the two areas. And again, that's going to depend on the team you put around him and stuff. Mitty says, I love my Tatura in 3v3, and he did well in live arena when I cared about it for 1 week. Yeah, I think Tatura is a very good champion. And a bit niche, but sometimes that niche is very powerful. Let's see. Let's get some more. Oh, I got to go buy my thing here. Yeah, so got 7 minutes left. I got both accounts done. I just want to make sure that like I don't know if I did live arena on my main account here. Oh, look at that. Come on. There you go. There you go. The camera keeps moving on me. If I do this, it like crunches down. Oh, I wanted to actually, I meant to do this earlier, but I'll do this now. All right, I'm just putting a poll out there. So the poll is pretty simple. Are you going for Tormund? Are you going to save for the Christmas Fusion instead? Or are you going for both? So you can tell me if you're going Tormund only, Fusion only, or you're going to try both if you can do it. I'm just curious. I wonder what people think about the Tormund and how likely they are to be able to close that out. So definitely. Ooh. I'm pretty sure on my main that I can get Tormund. I'm not sure on my main if I can do both. So if you're going for both, you know, either you've saved resources or you're potentially spending, or maybe you're just a better player than I am, which is entirely possible. You might be just watching me for like entertainment value. And you're like, yeah, you know, Colruyt, he's okay. I'm better. I can do both. I wouldn't be surprised. Marco says, I had Tatura in my clan boss team for a long time. He made it affinity friendly for me. Tatura can make it affinity friendly. Yeah. And that's really nice because it's like, it's an entirely different way to do it that most players don't ever even think about. Right. And the other champion that does the same thing is Duchess. So anybody who puts a perfect veil on everybody else at the right moment becomes the only potential stun target. Can't do anything else. Right. In addition, they both have a block debuffs buff. So if you can tune it right, you get the block debuffs up. I'm pretty sure, right? Tatura has a block debuffs buff. Let me double check that just to make sure. I know that Duchess does, and I don't own Duchess, but Duchess has one, right? I don't know if it's the same skill. Is it the same skill? Block debuffs and a perfect veil. So it goes up on the same skill. So you have to speed tune it properly. But this can, in fact, make you affinity friendly because it can block the slow from Spirit Affinity. It can block the stun, and it can control the stun target. So you always know who the stun target is landing on. And then Tatura, I think, does a very similar thing. Places a perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So this is the perfect veil, but I think this is the block debuffs. Yeah, so block debuffs here and an increased defense. Again, for 2 turns, on this time on a 3-turn cooldown. So you can use this skill in column 2, block debuffs from the slow and from the stun, and then put this up in column 3. But you have to go at do you have to go to a 4 to 3? You have to go to a 4 to 3 and force the perfect veil backwards, or you have to force the block debuffs backwards, or you have to not book this all the way out. You make this a 4-turn cooldown, and this is a 4-turn cooldown, and then you run it 4 to 3. But yeah, so they can both do that and make you fully affinity friendly in kind of a weird way. You know, those are the champions that use Perfect Veil to do it. I don't know if there's a third that can use Perfect Veil in the same way that has a block debuffs. I don't know if there's any other champions in the game that do that. But when you think about how strong Duchess is, now Duchess is a little bit better than Tatura Rhyhide. Like, she's maybe the best non-void champion in the game. Maybe not even maybe. She's probably the best non-void champion in the game. I guess without the mythics. I don't consider the mythics. All right, we got about 36% for Tormund, 32% for Fusion, and 32% for both. So about a third, and a third. It's a pretty good distribution. I wish everybody luck. I hope you get your thing. Whatever you're going for, I hope you get it. That's really interesting to me. Lord Hohenheim says, I think I should replace my Kale with Uragrim as poison dealer in Clan Boss. Uragrim is very good and potentially can do more for you than Kale does. The damage will probably be similar, but Uragrim has a cleanse, I think, and sustain. or maybe a heal or something. Now I'm forgetting Urgrim's kit. I think it's poisons and a cleanse and a heal, I think. So potentially can do more for your team than just a straight damage dealer, right? Who would only bring damage. So that may get you more damage from your other champions by extending the life of your team, or, you know, helping you to go like affinity friendly or whatever. Not enough to go affinity friendly on your own, but enough to help you go affinity friendly. Be interesting. See if I can do that. Stenbrick says, I am a low spender and the biggest issue is shards. Yeah, I think sacred shards are a big issue. I basically only use sacred shards at this point for fusions or like big events. I don't really pull during 2 times anymore, but I'm 2+ years in the game. I have, I don't know, 50 or 60 non-void legendaries. So there are ones I need. I don't have a Duchess. I don't have a Kaimar. I don't have a Kyoku. I don't have a Corvus. There are champions that I want. So, you know, but that's what it is. I blew my save primals on the 2 times. I'm worried I won't be able to do both. Yeah, I used mine on the 2 times event. And I didn't get anything. I got totally nothing. I did a video on it. You probably saw it. I got nothing. But all right, so that's the server reset. So we won our race. We won our race comfortably. It was fun talking to you guys tonight. This is not something I expect to happen too often, a Saturday evening stream for me, but we didn't get a video out today. So I did want to put some content out there, let you guys know I am on the job. I'm working. We just had some issues with the first collab, trying to get that all together. And then, you know, we had some Christmas stuff going on this weekend for the family. I'm going to go set up my Christmas tree right now. So that's always nice with the family to do that and pull out the ornaments and see things from years past. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Sorry it's a short stream, but this is what I was able to do today. And I do appreciate you guys hanging out. I do appreciate you asking questions. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and consider joining our Discord community. You're all in the Discord community, right? And yeah, thanks for the support. Hope you have a good night. And don't forget, tomorrow we have another live stream. We have our regularly scheduled Noob versus Pro series, in which Sun is still kicking my tail, but I got my Artak coming, baby. And Artak is going to change the tide. He's going to do so much work for me. I can't wait. I've got him booked out. I've got him closing in on his masteries. He's only level 50, but I got the chickens to get him to 60. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow and we'll have fun. But so definitely check that out. That goes, I think we do that at 11 a.m. I think we do it at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern time. So that would be 16 hours from now. So I will see you guys in 16 hours. Have a good night. And yeah. Bye.